version's a little different. Sorry about that. This is NRSV. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "You are the Son of God. Command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only Him." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. Amen.
Amen.
Anyone here would understand temptation, right? Oh no, we never get tempted to do things we shouldn't be doing, right? Wrong. Isn't that true? Even Jesus got tempted. And I think more than anything, he got tempted by flattery. Think about that. "Oh, you're so wonderful. You know, see these stones over here? I bet you could turn them into bread." You know, and it's kind of tempting to show off your magic, right? Or standing on the wall, you can jump off, and of course the angels will pick you up, and there will be nothing to worry about. Not too smart, right? If you actually did that. Or, as I've seen in some of these movies where people have sold their souls to the devil, look all over there, look beyond here, see all these wonderful kingdoms. They will all be yours if you are my best buddy, right? Now, we probably haven't had anything that dramatic, but I was thinking of several summers ago. Well, I guess it was more than several, when we used to have our swimming pool, and of course there was no water in it. And the swimming pool, it was an old pool, the one that we used to have behind Prince Eric Hall. And instead of being like this, like some of the newer ones are today, it went like that. And I caught some young gentlemen, I'd say they're about 12 or 13, with skateboards. And one of the young gentlemen said to his friend, "Hey, you're really good. You are really, really good at skateboarding. I bet you could go down that," he called it a ramp, "go down the ramp and be able to flip without getting hurt." And so, of course, you had to take the dare, right? When you're young and stupid, you take dares, right? So there he went. Just before he had an opportunity, I happened to be there. There is a mother of the property who made sure that he didn't do that, but he was ready to go. You see, he would have run into a wall, is the problem, because when it went down, it was a really high wall, too. Ooh, he would have gotten, and he was not wearing a helmet. Not good. What about college students? I knew one, not too many years ago, who was being solicited by MasterCard. Oh, yes. And there was this credit on there. And, you know, you wouldn't have to wait to have your pizza delivered. You wouldn't have to save up for anything. You could just go and charge it, right? I think we all know what the problem is, don't we? There's this little bill that comes in the mail and says you're supposed to pay this. Or you just pay a small amount and then you have huge amounts of interest, right? That is another temptation that we have. Or we have temptation, especially when people flatter us and tell us how wonderful we are and we can do all these great things. I had a friend that was told by a co-worker at her office that she was so beautiful that she could get probably any guy in the office. And unfortunately, she went after one of the men who was married and had 3 kids. And it ended up in a divorce. Not good, right? Not good at all. I remember when I was young and stupid, oh yes I was, I had to think about fast cars. I started driving when I was 15 and a half with my learner's permit. And I got my driver's license at age 16. Anybody familiar with the Palos Verdes Peninsula?
Sure.
They have cool roads there. Did you know? Now, back in those days, the cars were big, and they had a V8 engine, and they had power behind them, right? And so I remember going around the curves at about, 55 miles an hour. Especially when you're an inexperienced driver. I feel so blessed that I'm alive, and that I didn't destroy my mother's only car that she had, and she couldn't easily afford to go out and buy a new one. But now I look back at it and I think, no one should drive under the age of 25. I think the insurance companies know what they're talking about. It's a lot more expensive when you're younger, right? They know what they're doing. But in all seriousness, when we think of temptations, we think of listening to that little voice that comes in there, that bad little voice that tells us, you know, just go ahead and do it, it's all right, it won't hurt you. My favorite are people that are suffering from diabetes. Now, when you're diabetic, there are certain things you shouldn't eat, even if it isn't sugar, because certain things turn to sugar as soon as you eat them, like white bread and
Potatoes.
Potatoes. All your white rice. Big no-no when you're diabetic, because it turns right to sugar after you've eaten it. But I had a very good friend who was a very, very faithful person, who loved God, who loved her family and friends, and almost killed herself, eating way too much white bread with jam on it in the morning. She was very, very hungry. And I know what hunger is. We all do, don't we? When we just have to have something. Well, I mean, she was the kind of diabetic that has to use injections. So it was to that point. And she had, I think, about 3 slices of white bread toasted with jam on it. And it actually put her in the hospital. And the way, after she had gotten out of the hospital, she had talked to her pastor. And he had said to her, you know, what you did, it's a miracle that you're still alive. But what you did was, and he was relating it to the story of Jesus and his temptations. You know that this is not beneficial for you. You know that this would be a very bad outcome. So, when you were very, very hungry and you were tempted to go and eat this bread and jam, it had an effect not only on you, but your daughter who cares about you, and your 2 little grandsons who care about you. It's difficult, isn't it? When we're hungry, when we're thirsty, when our lives get kind of like ho-hum, we want a little excitement, that we do things that we know better, but it's through that little, it's like I call it a little bad voice that says, oh, come on, one time won't hurt you. And then you know what? It actually does. So I think Jesus in the wilderness kind of reminds us that we're not alone in being tempted to do things that we shouldn't do. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you go ahead and do something. Makes you not too intelligent at the time, but you're not a bad person. It's just that when you do something, and hopefully that you've learned from the experience, that you won't do it again. And sometimes thinking before acting is really a good thing to do, right? Amen?
Amen.
Good. Thank you. And now, we are going to be singing our closing song, Let There Be Love on Earth. And I invite you to stand if you're able, and we'll form some kind of a geometrical formation, and we will be singing our closing song.